Welcome to this video. Today I'm doing a video on what is the truth behind the web series Ancient Apocalpse, which is an investigative journalism by Graham Hancock. He has also written several books connected to these kinds of topics. But this particular series has caught on to the imagination of the whole world. And as a theosophist, I thought it would be interesting for me to go look back into our esoteric books and see what is said about Atlantis and these ancient civilizations. Now, the idea of an ancient civilization existing and completely disappearing is not new to esoteric philosophy or for theosophy. Overall, theosophists generally don't talk about it as science has yet to prove it. But a lot of things which is said in the theosophical literature, science has yet to prove. For example, it did say that there is a planet which is there between Mercury and Sun. Until 2019, scientists had not proved anything like that. But in 2019, a belt of asteroids was found between the planet Mercury and the Sun. And perhaps it was the remnants of that earlier planet called Vulcan, which theosophists call Vulcan. So there are many such things which it's said in our literature, but science has yet to prove it. So that is one of the reasons why theosophists don't generally talk about Atlantis. There are not too many videos of that. So you will find some if you research the same. But in the main core text of Theosophy, written and published in 1888 by Helena Petrova Blavatsky, H.P. Blavatsky, and which forms the core text of Theosophy, one of the core texts of Theosophy, a lot has been written about Atlantis. And I have been reading it, and it was one of the most fascinating parts of the literature. But as a theosophist, I used to think that if only Atlantis was discovered under the Atlantic Ocean, and then whatever theosophy says, so many other things that it says will be taken more seriously by the world. But it's not that the world is going to suddenly take theosophy more seriously because a Netflix series says some part of what theosophy also has always been saying. But this series does make a convincing argument for an advanced ancient civilization that existed. But it does not really go into more details about what kind of human beings they were. And that's what my video is going to go into. So this is a study of some excerpts from the Secret Doctrine, which is in 2 volumes, Anthropogenesis and Cosmogenesis. So in the Anthropogenesis, the Atlantis that is mentioned is under the Atlantic Ocean under 5,000 feet of chalk, which is why even if mariners or divers go underwater, they are not going to be able to find anything underwater directly, because what is at the bottom of the ocean, even 5,000 feet further down, millions of years have already passed since that civilization. So perhaps what is going to be left is going to be very difficult to find. So why did that happen? Why did it sink under so much water? So according to the Secret Doctrine, the Earth has the polaric shift. The poles shift their position. The North and South Pole shift their position, and it's already shifted 3 times during the age of this universe. So every time that happens, entire land masses shift, and waters replace land, and land replace water. So this is the reason why gigantic floods take place, and this is the reason for the civilization of Atlantis to have disappeared. For example, Secret Doctrine says that where today there is a Sahara Desert, where there was once ocean on top of that desert. Now, the proof of that is that there are actual shells and remains of marine life on that desert of the Sahara. So that is enough proof. Now, Secret Doctrine or SD also says that there is a 3,000-mile ridge under the Atlantic Ocean. And this ridge is not an ordinary ridge. It looks like mountains and valleys. And these mountains are not like the kind of mountains which sediments form, but something which you find above ground. So that is another thing, that the appearance of what is under the water is also different. The story of Atlantis, which is very famous and written by Plato, refers to one island in that archipelago of the Atlantic civilization. and that island's name was Poseidonus, and it sank in 12,000 years ago, around 10,000 BC. And that is the story of that, just that one small island, but not the entire civilization. What the secret doctrine says is that a colossal giant of a man existed as far back as 18 million years ago, and argues why not? When mammals were gigantic, then why can't human beings be too? Now, Easter Island, which was an island which is found towards the west of South America, shows these giant relics, which are compared to, you can see the figure of a human form. I mean, several times the size of the human form, probably 25 feet, 30 feet, or even 40 feet tall. Now, you find these relics in the Easter Island, and they represent the Atlantean race. Now, what was the nature of these Atlanteans? Secret Doctrine explains that though every race begins with a divine impetus, it succumbs to the lower tendencies of man. And this was what happened in the millions of years of the existence of Atlantis. Atlanteans were strong, self-assured, sensual, intensely jealous, and vindictive. This was the spirit of the Atlantic civilization. Even today, we find world leaders with the same traits. And as per the esoteric doctrine, they may well have been leaders of the Atlantean era and still had the same tendencies. The Indian Puranas, the Greek mythologies, the stories and myths of all religions have tales of war between good and evil. Secret doctrine says that evil and good simply seem to reincarnate, and good always wins over evil. In the Puranas, we have the evil Hiranyakashyap, who was killed by the godly Narsimha. Hiranyakashyap became Ravana to be killed by Rama, who was earlier Narsimha. Later, Shishupala was killed by Krishna, who was earlier Narsimha and Rama before. So there is always these kinds of myths which are there in every religious tradition. And what we think of as fiction perhaps refers to some truth of what had happened then. Perhaps there were such extremely evil human beings who did extremely cruel things to both animals and to humans. And then the good rose to fight them and to defend the defenseless, which of course we find even now in the universe, in the world today, we have the good and the evil. So no religion since the earliest has been entirely based on fiction, as per the secret doctrine. So all religions, even the Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition, all of them have these battles of evil and good. So though Atlantis was an advanced civilization and it had built very advanced cities with all everything that we call as what is modern today, the construction techniques that were of such a superior knowledge that even till today we do not know how those large structures were built. For example, later on, even what we have much closer to our era, the pyramids, still don't know how they were built, and we still can't build another pyramid. So the construction technologies show very advanced capabilities. So, but how did they get that kind of advanced knowledge? Now, the secret doctrine says that they were giants in stature, but also giants of knowledge and learning. And though it came to them more easily than it does to the men of modern times, their science was innate in them. That is, they were born with that knowledge. It's like an intuitive knowledge that they had, like how, for example, you see, there's such a lot of difference between the human baby and, let's say, the baby of a cow. A calf simply gets up and starts walking and knows what to do next. But a human baby is helpless for so long. So how the innate intelligence of a calf makes it know what to do next. So innate intelligence of the Atlanteans was so strong that it knew how to build all this, which now we have developed with great effort, very step by step, like over many generations of people working on scientific principles to develop the technology that we have developed today. Now, what is my understanding of all of this is that the Atlanteans were created towards the end of the third root race. Now, according to Theosophy, there have been five root races, of which we are the fifth root race, the Aryan root race. But the Atlanteans were the fourth root race. The Lemurians were the third, And before that, there were two more races called the Hyperborean and the Polarian. Now, each root race, man, that is, the man refers to the principle of in that in which the principle of the mind is developing. Yeah, the mind does not develop beyond a point in animals. They may take millions of reincarnations, but their mind will not become. It's not like you will have an elephant tomorrow or after a million years who will be able to read. That will not happen. What happens is that the mind of man has been developing from the earlier times, but his body was always different at different races. So the Atlantean race, it was much larger than what it is today. So the Atlantean race was created by a sort of divine originators. These people, now there is some truth to what people say, that aliens gave us knowledge. And a lot of these ancient people who research into all these things also have these kind of claims that aliens have come and they have given us knowledge. To some extent, as per Theosophy, this is true, because it is said in our literature that higher advanced human civilizations from the planet of Venus did come, and they gave the principle of the mind to the third root race, the Lemurian root race, and developed the fourth root race. So the thinking principle was developed in the Atlanteans, and but the people who gave that uh, uh, that that whole ability to think were themselves so highly spiritual. They were so advanced in their way. They were all like how we would imagine a Buddha to be, that in their passing of their knowledge, they also passed out a lot of other knowledge too. So that innate knowledge of so much, not only of construction, but they also had abilities like which are now called supernatural abilities, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, and so many other things, which those Atlanteans had some resource too. So my understanding is that the Atlanteans were sort of programmed a little more capable than we humans are programmed. Now, that is why they had that high civilization. But the thing is that they had so much negativity. By the time the civilization had advanced, there was black magic, sorcery, evil practices of all kinds to control mankind. All kinds of evil things were being done. And in fact, even in these web series, you will come across one particular under the cave, in which you have this evil stone face. And the Graham Hancock, when he goes there, he feels a very eerie sense of very uncomfortable, as if something very evil, like it looks like the face of a man serpent carved in stone. And it looked like it was that man serpent is in this excavated place where there are these phallic pillars, and that whole area had channels coming into it. And Graham Hancock suspects that perhaps that whole underground chamber, not underground, it is excavated, but that whole chamber may have been filled with blood, maybe animal blood, or one can't even think of any other kind of blood. But that was a level of disgusting practices that the Atlanteans had done, and that was the proof that there was such things going on then. So the ancients were destroyed not by uh, some kind of divine intervention, but by nature itself, because nature wants each one of us to develop to our highest potential. And when it sees humanity slide down the way it slid down in the Atlantean civilization, it comes to destroy it. So nature came, and as per the secret doctrine, extreme land convulsions and floods took place. But some humans of that Atlantean civilization, which is said in this Netflix series, that in each case, in each place, whether it was Gunung Padang, or whether it was in the Mexican place, or wherever those different places, there was some person who came, and he gave knowledge and information, and he taught them how to build those structures. So perhaps these humans from the earlier Atlantean civilization came to the next race, which is our Aryan race, and built these structures, or made these structures, or designed these structures. And what were the reasons they could have done that? One was to, maybe they wanted to get back their old magical past, so they created temples of black magic. Maybe these temples are used for really nefarious uses, or maybe they were used for praying for divine mercy, for they realized the mistakes they had made, and they were afraid that they would be punished more because they saw the ending of an entire civilization. So they were worried that they would be punished more. So they wanted to avoid future pain. So they prayed. So much of this, if you see, they are the buildings like ones, the temples in Malta in the series are all uh, pointing towards Osiris, and the position of Osiris keeps changing over hundreds of years. So you have that why were they praying to Osiris? For example, Osiris is considered, Osiris and Isis are the twin godheads of the Greek mythology, where they are what we call the Purusha and Prakriti in our Hindu tradition, the father and the mother in the Christian tradition, which are the originators of this whole universe. So they were praying to the Osiris star. So they, maybe that was one of the reasons they built those structures, or they want to teach the new Aryan race, the new human beings that were being formed, that don't make the mistakes of your ancestors, don't do the mistakes that we made. So they built a record of good things of whatever it was. That may be the reason why they built those temples. Or they also wanted to get some influence on the planet Earth from the various constellations, which is belief, and which is knowledge in our Hindu Puranas also, and in as per the secret doctrine also, that the constellations, the solar systems, even each planet has some influence on every other celestial being. So the Earth is influenced by stars and by the planets. So maybe they wanted a good influence of that. So that is why they built those structures. But those structures may have been built for various reasons, because they are now all over the world, built by so many people. Now, what can we learn from all these things, and what does it all mean? So, from what I can learn is that basically, even if you have heightened technology, heightened abilities, extraordinary capabilities, you must still aim as to become a good human being, which means to become a compassionate, selfless, and a benign human being. And the only way we will give value to these simple things like kindness and goodness and generosity, we don't value it. We value so many other things, but the only way we will do that is to realize, if we don't value this, what could happen to our civilization. So the secret doctrine, in its two volumes of Cosmogenesis and Anthropogenesis, is a comparative study of all religions, teachers, philosophies, researchers world over. It's a hard text, but must be read bit by bit. But at the core of it all is the motto of the Theosophical Society, which was founded by the writer of the Secret Doctrine, Leonard Blavatsky. Satyo nasti paro dharma. There is no religion higher than truth. So, what basically, if you are a truth seeker, if you want to know the truth behind all of these things, you will read more, not take my word for it, but try and read the Secret Doctrine itself, because there is so much in it, other than what a tiny bit, that one zillionth of a bit that I have shared today, and I don't even know whether my understanding of it is correct. One has to read these texts to understand it. So thank you very much for watching this, and hope it was useful for your understanding. Thank you.